So as we all know, welcome offers are the best way to get the most amount of value back from your spending. And in the case of Chase Bank, the Chase Inc. lineup, including the Inc. Business Cash, Inc. Business Unlimited, and Inc. Business Preferred cards are among the best credit cards to get to earn a lot of Ultimate Rewards points very quickly. And the strategy of applying for these cards in rapid or not so rapid succession for their very lucrative welcome offers is commonly known as the Inc. Train strategy. And in today's video, we'll go over what goes into the strategy, some things to look out for, as well as whether you, the community, think it's worth pursuing or not. And with that being said, let's just jump right in. The next question we have is from RemGB, who hopefully is still here. He says that his two most favorite credit card YouTubers. We really appreciate that, by the way, because there's a lot of credit card YouTubers out there, and we really appreciate your support. And I know you've been supporting me for many years now, and so I really appreciate that. Is there any risk with continuing to milk the Inc. sub plus referral train with player 1 and player 2, which has been a big topic recently? I know Tony Anthony Venture is all about the Inc. train, and so that's his main strategy now. He can cycle through the various Inc. cards with player 1 and player 2 plus the LLC that he has, so that there's a 24-month between applying for the same card, which is obviously the limit between having another welcome offer on the same card. He loves his UR points, especially with flexibility for redeeming economy travel, using Chase Travel Portal at 1.5 cents per point, using the Chase Sapphire Reserve for his family of 4. And looks like he is going to go all in with Chase. He is never going to go over 524 again, especially if you just use Inc. cards. You have a lot of hard inquiries, but no new accounts. And so what I think he's trying to say is that if he has Inc. cards and you're only looking at the two Inc. Cash and Inc. Unlimited cards, what you can do is you can space out your applications in a way that you will never go under that 24-month limit. And so if you average them out, you can space about 4 months per card. So for example, if you apply for a player 1 Soul Prop in January of 2024, you can also switch over to the same in cash card on a player 2 Soul Prop 4 months later in May. And then I would say, I guess 5 months later. And then the LLC can do the same thing for the same cash card on September. And then the following year, switch out to the Inc. Unlimited card and do the same kind of strategy all the way down the line. And by the time you get to that part of the line, you just switch back to the other card again because it's been 24 months after that. And that's not even including the Inc. Preferred card as well. So there's a lot of options when it comes to doing the Inc. train. And of course, you want to target limited time offers too, but that's been a very common strategy for a lot of people, especially because the spending limit is a little bit higher, usually around $6,000 to $8,000 in the first 3 to 6 months, depending on the welcome offer at the time. And so I know that you also, Dugras, have done this too. And so we have a slide here for you and how you have done this in the past as well. So what do you think about this?
Yeah. So one thing, and I'm not sure if it's a correction or clarification, but I don't think there is a 24-month limitation on Inc. cards. I know there is for Sapphire cards, but I think technically there's nothing to stop you from signing up for another Inc. Business Cash under the same Social Security number 6 months later. Do you know with certainty on that?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to look at right now while you're talking, but I'm pretty sure that there is on the Inc. card specifically. There's a 48-month rule on the Sapphire, like you mentioned. But I think the Inc. cards do have a 24-month rule for the same exact card for the same exact business.
Okay. I thought I remember Frequent Miler saying, like, in theory, although you don't want to push it too much, you could push it even more than that. So I have had times where I've gone over 524, so I haven't been able to implement the strategy. But this is all of what I've obtained in the past. Let's see. Started in July of 2019. I got my first one. That was a Premier. And then I later changed it to a CIU, an unlimited. And then I actually picked up the Inc. Cash in December of that same year. That's since been closed. And then the CIU in November of 2021. So trying to see if I had any duplicate applications there that were less than 24 months. It doesn't look like I did, because the second to last and third to last were player 1 to player 2. So I can't really verify that. But I've done all this with just personal sole prop Social Security numbers. So even at this particular pace, I think you could do one per person per year, and I don't think you're pushing it too much if you don't want to go out and get an LLC or an EIN or anything like that, if you just are in 2-player mode and you want to stick with the sole prop, I think one per person per year would be easily doable. And you could just, alternate. So for me, I could do my Ink Unlimited this year and my Ink Cash next year, and then just keep alternating that. And you're always putting 24 months between it, whether it's a hard rule or an informal rule, either way.
Yeah, so I just looked it up. I thought I saw it before in the past, but I do not see it anymore in terms of it being an explicit rule for 24 months. And also RemGB says 24-month rule is your miles may vary, as frequent miler got it with less than 24 months between the same cards. And so I stand corrected, so I will retract what I said from before, although I do think it's important to space things out for sure, just to increase your chances of approval and also to decrease the amount of hard pulls you get on your credit report.
Yeah. So it even if it's not a hard rule, I think it's probably an okay rule of thumb. I think if you maintain that pace, you're not going to get in trouble with Chase. I know there's probably some edge case data point out there somewhere of someone who churned ink cards and got a shutdown or something like that, but I haven't heard of any.
Yeah. And Matt Clausen also says they don't seem to care at all about when one applies for an ink card, so long as you're not overextending yourself, which is more of a subjective phrase. And so overextension can mean a lot of different things, but I think for the most part is, just in general, just be reasonable about it, whatever that means to you.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing, is reasonable is highly subjective. In our community, if somebody says, I have 10 to 15 credit cards, you're like, okay, cool. You go ask a normal person, what do you think? I have 10 to 15 credit cards. It's like, oh my word, that is not reasonable. So
yeah, I've been in those situations for sure.
Depends who you ask.
Tom Graber says the ink cards use 721. Thank you. So that I remember seeing it before.
Okay, that helps clear it up.
I'm not like hallucinating, but like the thing is, I think they did remove it, and so that's why it's not there anymore. So now it's more of a general thing, which is good to know. But yeah, I think that's a great rundown. But let's kind of put it back to the audience. So we're gonna go and do a poll again, and so let's make sure. I want to know if you guys are actually on board with the ink train too. Like, do you like it? Do you not like it? Let's kind of figure out what that's going to be. And so again, there's about 134 of you in the chat right now, and so appreciate you guys for being here. Let's go ahead and switch it over to the actual question itself, and we're going to go ahead and go to the live polling here. What is your opinion of the ink train? Are you all aboard, or are you just, it's not really for you? What do you think? So it looks like for the most part, people seem to be all aboard the ink train. Some people are not. Again, if you're just joining in, you can join and do this live polling if you join menti.com and use the 8-digit code on the bottom. And then you can go ahead and submit your anonymous vote and let us know what you think about the ink train. Surprisingly, it seems to be getting a little bit more even than what I thought it would be. Personally, I think the ink train is a very powerful technique that's really, really valuable if you want to do it the way that RemGB has been doing it. And so it's interesting that some people are not into it. Maybe it's because it's a business card. That may be one impediment to having that done successfully, or so we may not want to be doing business stuff, which is fine. But I would say that if I look at this in general, the results of the polling looks like it's pretty much about even, with maybe some preference towards the ink train. I think it's also important to identify what the ink train really is. And so how would you define the ink train, Dubras?
This is what I would say is basically you see value in the Chase Ink cards, especially the two no annual fee ones, the Ink Cash and the Ink Unlimited. And you like the idea of getting lots of points and a sign-up bonus, and you're willing to hit sign-up bonuses repeatedly. Another reason why some people may not like it is it only works if you keep yourself under 524. So you have to commit to always being under 524 in order to do it. But yeah, basically you're churning. We might as well call it what it is. You're getting a ink card with the intention of not keeping it forever. Although Chase doesn't have, other than 524, they don't have any specific velocity rules. They do seem to have capacity rules where they have some sort of universal credit limit in their brain, and they won't approve you unless you're under that, whatever that might be. It seems for me like Chase has decided Doug should only have somewhere between maybe $50,000 to $70,000 of credit limit. So I'm frequently moving my credit limit around between cards, and like if I'm about to apply for a new one, I try to drop it down a little to increase my odds and that kind of stuff. So you do have to really commit is too strong of a word, but you have to be willing to meet several yeah buts. Yeah, but you can't go out and load up on other cards. Yeah, but I don't feel comfortable with it. Yeah, but I don't have a business and I don't feel comfortable pretending to have a business. So, there are some yeah buts in there. Some people it just doesn't, it just feels icky, so it depends on who you ask.
Yeah. I think James Wang also puts another data point down here. He thinks it has too high of a spending requirement on the welcome bonuses for my current lifestyle. And I think that's a very good thing to say, because you just have to recognize that they are very high spending requirements, especially in the 3-month period that it typically comes up in. And so that's a big one. And so as long as you know yourself the best, that's the most important thing. Phil also says, though, that he is a passenger on the ink train. He got 5 inks in the last 9 months between player 2 and him. So that's 3 for one, 2 for the other on average. And so he's definitely on that train. Choo-choo. Here we go.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. That's a lot of great UR points. So if you're getting that's hopefully you guys are referring each other too, getting those referral bonuses, because as we all know, that's ending soon with the ink train as well. So the referral bonuses now is 40,000 points per referral up to 200K a year. After September 3rd, I guess September 2nd, that's going to drop down to 20,000 points per referral up to 200,000. So it'll give you half as much as a referral, so you refer more cards. And so that's unfortunate. But if you can refer them up until September, hopefully you can get that in and get those 40,000 points, because that's a pretty big chunk of change when it comes to UR points.
Yeah, and I forgot about the whole referral thing being even above and beyond that. I mean, even if you go with the lowest possible numbers, like 75,000 for the card, 25,000 for referral, that's still 95,000 points for no annual fee card, and that's not bad.
Yeah. Then Rimji says that's very key part of the fuel. Filmo says that he also does the referrals too, so that's great. He's gonna try for one more, which is excellent. So everyone's kind of getting in on that ink train.